Hey everybody, John from Movie Burners here, back with another movie review, and today I'm going to be discussing a film which is, well, it was released in 2016, but I actually watched it early 2017, so I'm going to say it's one of my favourite films from last year, and it's the Matt Ross directed Captain Fantastic. And what he created in this film was something really quite special. It was just his fourth film in the director's chair, and it follows the eccentric Ben Cash, played by Viggo Mortensen, and his young children as they live their uniquely regimented, back to basics life of solitude in the woods of the Pacific Northwest. Ben is soon forced to re-enter the wider world with his group of ragtag commando rugrats when a personal tragedy befalls them all. The film opens to the idyllic, beautiful, lush environments of the aforementioned wooded region and focuses in on a deer being closely tracked by the Cash clan. The animal is soon taken down in brutally impressive fashion by Bodevin Bo Cash, played by George MacKay. The oldest son of 6 children, a proud Ben, makes his way across the stream to his son, declaring that today the boy is dead and in his place is a man. This early scene, and also the accompanying little quickfire montage showing the children doing their daily chores, some of which includes deboning the deer carcass, fetching water, and lighting fire in the more traditional manner, really perfectly illustrates the array of survivalist skills that's been drummed into them, and it also highlights the off-the-grid Lord of the Flies existence they live. Ben and his wife Leslie had decided to remove themselves and their growing young family from the increasingly chaotic, capitalist-obsessed modern society, spurning the more conventional education system for a home-schooled programme and passing on their strong humanitarian-centred and socialist beliefs. They even celebrate everybody's favourite humanitarian, Noam Chomsky. I hadn't heard of him before this, if I'm being honest, and I still don't know anything about him. But they celebrate this instead of Christmas. And despite some of his parental faults, of which there is more than a few, it has to be said, you certainly can't argue with Ben's teaching skills or even the education his children have. He's clearly a very well educated man himself, and even his youngest kids are able to eloquently discuss politics, which at times includes the intricacies of fascism and Marxism, and the human anatomy in various different languages as well. The fitness is incredible too, as the early part of the film really goes out its way to highlight, with the family going for long runs, crazy burpee heavy calisthenic exercises, and a rock climbing session the day after the kids learn their mother has died, up a sheer cliff face, which of course nearly ends in disaster for Relian. Now, whilst Ben is clearly at home in this lifestyle, it's pretty clear that some of his kids yearn for the outside world, particularly Bo and Relian. The small chink of discontent is further exacerbated when Ben receives some heartbreaking news about Leslie whilst in the middle of a trip into town. Having been away from her family for a number of months, battling bipolar depression, she takes her own life in somewhat brutal circumstances, slitting her wrists. This moment provides the catalyst for the film's story, and after some dithering, following a cold and threatening call with Jack, his father-in-law, both he and the children decide to go on a road trip come mission down to New Mexico to attend their mother's funeral and also attempt to put the brakes on her burial. You see, Leslie had left a will stating that as a believer in the Buddhist philosophy, she wanted to be cremated and have her ashes flushed down the toilet. If anything summed up the eccentricity of this duo and their family, then that request certainly did. The road trip portion of this film is perhaps my favourite part. There's just so many genuinely funny, quotable moments and a fair share of poignant, emotional ones flung in for good measure too. Matt Ross's rather unsubtle attempts at social commentary, particularly prevalent at the beginning of the trip, when the kids, who are not used to the outside world, find themselves questioning the strange new sights around them, was pretty well implemented for the most part. It also provided some decent laughs, as the dumbfounded children asked their father if everyone was ill and why they were so fat like hippos. There was a truly hilarious moment too when Ben, who's always open, honest and forthright with his children, explained the meaning of rape, sexual intercourse, and why a man would put his penis inside a vagina, all to his 7-year-old son after a series of quick-fire questions from the ever-inquisitive young chap. But my personal favourite, just for the sheer awkwardness and humour, were Beau's interactions with the young woman at the trailer park, and also Ben's highly contrasting parenting style with his sister-in-law, causing an argument over dinner. Viggo Mortensen, of course, did receive an Oscar nomination for Best Actor for his performance in this film, and I wasn't surprised by that at all after seeing the film. He is phenomenally good in it. He perfectly encapsulates all the little eccentric oddities of Ben Cash's personality, adds healthy dashes of sarcasm and humour to the character, and puts in a frankly fabulous performance. I think I could fill a review with his lines alone, one perfect example being "It's just a penis, every man has one." George MacKay is a close second as a socially awkward but academically gifted Baudevin. There's some really great moments with his character as he torments himself with a desire to leave and his plethora of acceptance letters to most of the United States top colleges. He too has a real standout line where he passionately berates his dad's parenting style. But the rest of the actors and actresses that portrayed the children were all fantastic too. The relationships and interactions were extremely well written and felt genuine. If I was to pick the best of the rest, then I'd probably have to go with a two-way tie between Samantha Isler and Nicholas Hamilton as Kyla and Relian respectively. And when they do finally reach the funeral, it would be fair to say it doesn't go to plan when Ben, who's wearing his old, painfully dated red wedding suit, gate crashes what is in his mind a farce, reading out Leslie's will with an air of nonchalance and offending his father-in-law to the extent that he's removed. Ben then goes through an emotional rollercoaster, almost losing his daughter Vesper after she falls from her grandparents' roof in a reckless attempt, instigated by him, to rescue his son Relian. This causes him to have something of an epiphany, leading him into deciding to leave the children with their grandparents after earlier being threatened with losing custody and child abuse charges by Jack, his father-in-law. He soon departs on his own after an emotional farewell, before shaving, sitting at a campfire alone, and then in a mini twist, discovering that all the children have snuck on board and decided to stick by him. They all decide to fulfil their mother's dying wishes, and so they dig up her newly filled grave, take her away, and finally lay her to rest in a traditional pyre. These final moments are particularly poignant, as the children, who had been used as pawns up until that point, are finally reunited with their mother. This is honestly one of the better films that I had seen last year, and I wouldn't hesitate in recommending it. The story is simplistic at heart. It's essentially a fattened up road trip film, but Matt Ross ekes out some brilliant acting performances from a majority very young cast, allied with some great writing and dialogue, all of which is framed with some lovely visuals and a soaring, at times emotionally on point score. The cool little song sessions the family sparked into on 2 separate occasions, and the way it blended into the score was rather neatly done too. It also has some great social commentary, as I touched upon briefly before, on the ills of today's consumerist obsessed society, and even now I'm not truly sure whether Ben Cash is the best parent in the world or committing borderline child abuse, but overall I just enjoyed this film. I thought it was pretty damn good. I would highly recommend giving it a viewing if you haven't seen it, and I will giving it a 4.5 out of 5. Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then do subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes and Google Play, whilst also giving us a little follow on Facebook at Movie Burner Entertainment and on Twitter at Movie Burners. You can also catch up with all the latest reviews we're putting out on the Movie Burner blog at movieburnerintertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.